Welcome to the Cala Builders podcast. Right now, somewhere in Los Angeles, there is a homeowner staring at an absolute nightmare of a bill. Like a $150,000 water damage bill that their insurance company is just flat out refusing to pay.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is a brutal situation.
Right. I mean, they're completely on the hook for tearing up their custom hardwood floors, replacing all their drywall, and basically rebuilding their entire basement. And you know why? All because they didn't want to pull like a $300 city permit to move a kitchen sink 2 feet to the left during a remodel.
Yep. And honestly, that happens far more frequently than anyone in the remodeling industry actually wants to admit.
Really? Just for moving a sink?
Oh, absolutely. People get this beautiful aesthetic update,
Mhm.
but it's completely masking a catastrophic structural or bureaucratic failure underneath.
Which is exactly why we are here today.
Yeah.
So the core mission of this deep dive is to really unpack the most costly, stressful, and honestly easily avoidable kitchen remodeling mistakes that Los Angeles homeowners make.
And, whether you are just prepping for a minor update or gearing up for a massive luxury gut renovation, we want to give you a shortcut to being a truly informed homeowner.
Exactly. And the insights we are breaking down today come directly from the front lines, courtesy of Cala Builders.
Yeah, they're a premier licensed general contractor. That's license number 1156496 for those keeping track at home.
Always good to have the receipts.
Definitely. And they're a highly specialized design build firm. Their footprint across Southern California is just massive. I mean, we are talking about service areas stretching from Woodland Hills and Calabasas, sweeping all the way across West LA and right into Pasadena.
They really cover a lot of ground, and they handle everything, right? From architectural 3D design and ADUs to those ground-up luxury kitchen remodels. So they see the mistakes homeowners make before they even, pick up a sledgehammer.
For sure. Because before you can even think about picking out those shiny new custom cabinets or gorgeous quartzite countertops, you really have to deal with the invisible reality of the kitchen.
The invisible reality,
Yeah.
like the laws governing the space and the aging physical infrastructure lurking behind your drywall.
Exactly. The unglamorous stuff.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, well, nobody wakes up excited to talk about municipal bureaucracy. But we have to start with the LADBS, right? The Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety.
Yeah, we have to start there.
From the case studies Cala Builders provided, the permit requirements in LA are not just strict, they are practically microscopic in their oversight.
They really are. We are specifically looking at LAMC Section 91.106. Basically, the overarching regulation here dictates that any modification to electrical, plumbing, gas, or the physical structure, it absolutely demands a permit and a city inspection.
Any modification at all.
Pretty much. The huge trap homeowners fall into is believing their project is purely cosmetic.
Right, because I can hear someone listening right now thinking, well, I'm just updating the space. I'm not knocking down an exterior wall. Why would I invite the city into my house?
I get that logic. I really do. But it's because the line between cosmetic and structural is incredibly thin. Like if you swap out a countertop and leave the sink in the exact same geographic coordinate, well, you might be exempt.
Okay, so that's the loophole.
Right. But the very moment you move that sink 3 inches to accommodate a slightly larger basin, you are altering the plumbing lines. Or, the moment you add a dedicated outlet for a high-end espresso machine.
Oh, because now you're adding an electrical circuit.
Exactly. You've crossed the threshold. You are now doing permitted work.
And skipping that permit because it feels like a minor annoyance, well, that carries a pretty heavy initial penalty. If you are caught during construction, say a neighbor gets annoyed by the saw noise and calls code enforcement on you, the immediate consequence is a stop work order.
Which halts everything.
Right, and a fine in the neighborhood of $356. Plus, you still have to go buy the permit, but now LADBS charges you roughly double the standard fee.
Yeah, it's painful. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, those city fines are practically a parking ticket compared to the true financial hazard.
Wait, really? What's worse than double fees and a shutdown?
The ultimate risk is to your homeowner's insurance policy. Let's revisit that scenario you opened with.
Ah, the $150,000 water damage bill.
Right. Because when you alter a plumbing line without a permit, a city inspector never verifies that the new pipe connections meet modern pressure standards.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, so a year later, maybe a microleak develops right behind your brand new custom cabinetry. It slowly rots the subfloor until one day, boom, the pipe bursts. You file an insurance claim for the massive water damage to your first floor. Well, the very first thing the insurance adjuster does is pull the city permit records for your address.
And they see that the last legal plumbing work done on the house was back in like 1998.
Exactly. The adjuster then looks at your shiny new kitchen, notes the unpermitted modification that actually caused the failure, and legally denies your claim on the grounds of unauthorized, unverified modifications.
Wow. So you are just left paying for the entire remediation out of pocket.
Every single cent. And it also becomes a massive red flag when you eventually try to sell the home, because unpermitted work has to be disclosed to buyers. Often, the city forces you to literally rip open your new walls to retroactively prove the work is up to code.
That is terrifying, which honestly perfectly transitions into another massive invisible trap, particularly for anyone living in older Los Angeles neighborhoods.
Oh, the old bones of the house?
Yes. I'm looking at the notes from Cala builders on something called cabinet refacing. Now, on the surface, refacing seems brilliant. You keep the existing wooden cabinet boxes bolted to the wall, you just swap out the doors for something modern, and you save a fortune.
It's heavily marketed as the ultimate budget-friendly aesthetic hack.
Right. But isn't cabinet refacing supposed to be the ultimate budget hack? Like, why go looking for trouble if the kitchen just looks ugly and you want a quick fix?
Well, in older LA homes, and I mean specifically those built before 1980 in areas like Pasadena or Woodland Hills, refacing is often a huge trap.
Because thinking you can just slap modern cabinet doors over 1970s infrastructure is like buying a beautiful custom-tailored suit, but ignoring the fact that you have a broken arm underneath.
That is such a great analogy.
I mean, you might look fantastic walking into the room, but structurally, you are in agonizing pain, and eventually, that expensive suit is going to have to get cut off anyway.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. The core issue lies in the materials used half a century ago. Pre-1980 homes often feature galvanized steel plumbing, and over decades, those pipes corrode from the inside out.
Oh, wow, so you can't even tell from looking at them.
Not really. They might look totally fine on the exterior, but inside, calcium and rust have reduced the water flow to the diameter of a drinking straw. And it's not just plumbing. The electrical wiring is often ungrounded or just totally insufficient to handle modern high-draw appliances like, induction cooktops or double ovens.
So a homeowner pays a company $10,000 to reface their cabinets. They're thrilled. Then 2 months later, the galvanized pipe hidden directly behind that cabinet just fails.
Exactly. And to fix the pipe, the plumber has to rip out the cabinet boxes you just paid to have beautifully refaced.
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
It really is. What Cala Builders emphasizes is that a comprehensive early inspection of what lies behind the walls is absolutely non-negotiable.
Because exposing a corroded pipe during the initial 3D design and planning phase allows you to adjust the budget logically, right?
Yes, exactly. Discovering that same pipe mid-demolition, or worse, after the cosmetic work is finished, it just forces rushed, panicked financial decisions under immense stress.
Okay, let's follow that thread. We've navigated the bureaucracy. We've ensured the 1970s plumbing is fully upgraded and legally permitted. The walls are closed back up. The next massive hurdle isn't actually picking out paint colors, is it?
Nope. It's mechanics.
Right, the physical flow of the space when you are frantically trying to make dinner on a Tuesday night while 2 kids are running through the room.
We are moving from the infrastructure of the house to the infrastructure of your daily life. And the most common mistake at this stage is prioritizing the visual finish over the mechanical function.
Ah, the layout trap. Cala Builders points out that a disastrous misstep is selecting your finishes, like falling in love with a specific slab of marble or a trendy cabinet color before you have mapped out the storage and the operational footprint.
Homeowners do this all the time. They try to build an entire room around a specific aesthetic centerpiece, like they insist on a massive 10-foot kitchen island just because it looks luxurious on social media.
Right, everyone wants that Pinterest island.
But in a moderately sized West LA kitchen, forcing an oversized island into the layout might leave you with only like 24 inches of clearance to walk past the open oven door.
That sounds like a safety hazard.
Yeah.
I mean, designing a kitchen around a slab of marble instead of your cooking habits is like buying a car purely because you love the cup holders, completely ignoring if it has a working engine.
Yeah, you have a gorgeous place to put your coffee, but the machine is practically useless for its intended purpose.
And layout mistakes are exponentially more expensive to fix than aesthetic ones, right?
Oh, incredibly expensive.
Uh,
Once custom cabinetry is fabricated and screwed into the studs, and once countertops are cut and glued down, Changing your mind just because the sink is too far from the stove costs tens of thousands of dollars.
So how do you avoid that?
A specialized design build firm won't even discuss countertop materials in the first meeting. They interrogate your daily habits first.
Like an interview.
Yeah. They want to know, do you plate complex meals that require massive prep space? Do you buy groceries in bulk, requiring deep pantry rollouts? Are there typically two people cooking simultaneously?
They are designing the physical geometry of the room around human behavior. But I want to push back on one specific mechanical element mentioned in these notes: ventilation.
Okay, let's talk ventilation.
Is a massive range hood really that critical, or is this just an area where contractors try to upsell nervous homeowners on loud, industrial-looking metal boxes? Because I've seen plenty of beautiful kitchens with those sleek, minimalist microwave hood combos right over the stove.
I hear that a lot, actually. But what's fascinating here is the sheer physics of cooking, which those sleek microwave hoods completely fail to manage.
Wait, physics?
Yeah. Ventilation dictates the long-term survival of your kitchen's finishes. When you sear a steak or boil pasta, you aren't just creating a pleasant smell. You are releasing a plume of vaporized grease, steam, and heat straight into the air.
And that vapor has to go somewhere.
Exactly. If your ventilation is undersized, that grease plume hits the ceiling and slowly descends, basically coating your brand new, expensive cabinetry, your lighting fixtures, and your walls in a microscopic, sticky film.
Ugh, that sounds disgusting.
It is. And over time, that acidic grease degrades the custom finish on the wood. A high-quality range hood is not an aesthetic choice. It is an active air quality and asset protection system.
Asset protection, I like that.
Its capacity is measured in CFM, or cubic feet per minute. If you buy a high-output, luxury gas range, you absolutely need a hood capable of extracting a massive volume of air to match those BTUs.
Okay, so putting a cheap, low CFM hood over a luxury six-burner stove is basically like buying a Ferrari and putting bicycle tires on it. You can't actually use the power you paid for without crashing the entire system.
That is a brilliant way to frame it, and the sheer volume of air those powerful hoods move leads us directly into another hidden bureaucratic trap that catches incredibly smart people off guard.
Oh, let me guess. The ductwork permit.
You got it. Cala notes that upgrading your hood often triggers a completely separate mechanical permit.
But why? If I'm just swapping a hood...
It all comes back to static pressure. Say you install a powerful new hood that pulls 900 cubic feet of air per minute, but you try to force all that air through an old, narrow 4-inch duct hidden in the ceiling.
The air just backs up.
Exactly. It creates turbulent static pressure. The hood's motor strains, it overheats, and eventually it burns out. So to do it correctly, you have to rip out the ceiling and install an 8 or 10-inch duct to actually handle that volume.
And LADBS requires a mechanical permit to ensure that new massive duct is routed safely, right? So it doesn't compromise the structural joists and vents fully to the exterior, not just dumping grease into the attic where it could start a fire.
Precisely. Those invisible mechanical systems dictate everything. Which naturally leads us to the final layer of the process, the mechanics directly determining the aesthetics.
Right, because we have clean airflow, permitted pipes, and a layout perfectly calibrated to human behavior. Now we can finally turn the lights on. Let's talk about the absolute failure of the single overhead light.
Oh, relying on a grid of basic recessed ceiling lights is the absolute fastest way to make an expensive remodel look flat, uninviting, and just genuinely difficult to use.
Because of the shadows, right? When you stand at the counter to chop vegetables, the overhead light is behind you. Your own body casts the shadow directly over the knife.
Which is incredibly dangerous and frustrating. Cala Builders heavily stresses the necessity of layering 3 distinct types of light: ambient, task, and accent.
So break those down for me.
Ambient is your general illumination, so your recessed ceiling cans. Task lighting is highly targeted, specifically LED strip lighting mounted invisibly under the upper cabinets. It casts a pool of bright, clean light directly onto the countertop, exactly where you prep.
It fundamentally changes how the kitchen operates.
It really does. And then accent lighting is the final layer, illuminating glass front cabinets or highlighting architectural textures to give the room actual depth and warmth.
But there is a massive legislative clock ticking on how we illuminate these spaces, right? Starting in 2026, California is rolling out severely updated Title 24 energy codes.
Yeah, the state is aggressively targeting energy consumption. The 2026 codes will enforce strict limitations on the allowable wattage per square foot in a kitchen.
Wow, so you can't just put lights wherever you want anymore.
Not at all. You can't simply string together 20 high-output light fixtures anymore. You have to calculate the total energy load. You have to integrate specific high-efficacy LED drivers and automated dimming controls.
So if you treat lighting as an afterthought, you're in serious trouble.
Big time. If you try to figure out your lighting plan at the very end of the project, the city inspector will look at the electrical footprint, realize it exceeds the 2026 energy code, and just fail the inspection. You are then forced into a very expensive late-stage redesign.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We've talked about the physics of lighting, but let's look at the actual visual style. Let me play devil's advocate for a moment here.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm spending a fortune on a luxury remodel in an upscale neighborhood like Studio City or Calabasas, shouldn't my kitchen look incredibly cutting edge? Like, I want the boldest colors, the wildest geometric tile, the finishes that are dominating social media right now. I want my kitchen to scream that it was built this year.
This raises an important question about the fundamental difference between luxury craftsmanship and fleeting viral trends. Honestly, what looks cutting edge on an influencer's feed today will look horribly dated in just 3 to 5 years.
It's the modern equivalent of the avocado green refrigerators from the 1970s.
Yes, perfect example.
At the time, they were the absolute height of cutting-edge style. Now, they are literally the first thing a buyer wants to take a sledgehammer to.
Exactly. The golden rule from Cala builders for protecting your property value is this: keep your big-ticket, highly disruptive items timeless.
Meaning what, exactly?
Your custom cabinetry, your countertops, and your flooring. You want classic materials: white oak, natural stone, neutral palettes. Elements that have looked beautiful for 50 years and will look beautiful for 50 more.
Okay, but where is the room for personality? If the cabinets are timeless white oak, where do I actually get to have fun with those trends I like?
You isolate the trendy colors and textures to the easily swappable elements.
Like what?
Cabinet hardware, wall paint, a set of dramatic pendant lights over the island, or even a bold backsplash. Think about it. If you paint your walls a highly trendy, saturated emerald green, and 5 years from now you absolutely hate it, it takes one weekend and $200 in paint to fix.
Right, that's easy.
But if you make your expensive, custom-built cabinets emerald green, you are stuck with them, unless you want to spend $20,000 to replace them.
So timelessness is basically a financial defense mechanism.
It absolutely is. And all of these defensive strategies, navigating the LADBS permit fines, uncovering the hidden 1970s wiring, upgrading the ventilation ducts, and adhering to the strict 2026 energy codes, they all funnel directly into the singular, most stressful aspect of remodeling:
protecting the budget. The fear of the project spiraling out of control financially is what keeps every homeowner awake at night.
Without a doubt. The financial golden rule, particularly in older LA homes where surprises are just a mathematical certainty, is the contingency fund. Cala builders recommend setting aside a hard 10 to 20% buffer above the initial finalized estimate.
Now, let me be clear about what that money is for. That 20% is not a slush fund, so you can suddenly upgrade from ceramic tile to imported marble halfway through the build.
No, not at all. It is a dedicated safety net. When the contractor opens the wall and discovers that the previous owner did some unpermitted, highly dangerous DIY electrical work that now has to be brought up to code, that contingency fund absorbs the shock.
So the project doesn't derail.
Exactly. You don't have to pause construction for a month to secure a new loan. The fund allows the team to pivot instantly, fix the invisible infrastructure, and keep moving forward.
So what does this all mean? For the listeners sitting in their outdated, dysfunctional kitchen right now, paralyzed by the fear of going bankrupt on a remodel, or terrified of hiring the wrong people and ending up with a nightmare, what is the ultimate takeaway to navigate this minefield safely?
The ultimate safeguard for a homeowner's peace of mind and their budget is utilizing the design-build model.
Wait, so contrast that for me. If I don't use a design-build firm, what is the traditional alternative?
Traditionally, a homeowner sort of acts as their own project manager. They hire an independent architect to draw the blueprints. Then they hire a separate interior designer to pick the finishes. They hire a third party to expedite the permits with the city. And finally, they hire a general contractor to actually build it.
I mean, that sounds like a recipe for a massive communication breakdown.
It practically guarantees it. When the contractor opens the wall and realizes the architect's plans conflict with an immovable structural beam, the contractor blames the architect. The architect blames the designer's layout. Everyone points fingers, work stops, and the homeowner is stuck in the middle paying exorbitant hourly fees while the professionals argue over change orders.
That sounds like a literal nightmare. How does Cala Builder's design-build model actually prevent that friction?
By bringing every single discipline under one roof. The architectural planning, the 3D rendering, the permit expediting, the interior design, and the physical construction are all handled by one integrated team.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the person drawing the blueprints works directly alongside the project manager swinging the hammer and the electrician wiring the panel.
It's like having a single captain steering a sophisticated ship instead of 5 different people violently fighting over the steering wheel while the boat heads toward a reef.
Exactly. And with decades of combined experience across the Los Angeles landscape, that unified team absorbs the stress for you. They anticipate the code requirements, they engineer the HVAC and lighting early, and they execute a timeless aesthetic. You aren't juggling competing professionals. You are partnering with a single entity, completely accountable for the final result.
Which is the ultimate goal, really, a flawless process leading to a functional, beautiful home. Let's do a rapid recap of the core defensive maneuvers we covered today. First, never skip your LADBS permits. The immediate fines and the catastrophic risk to your homeowner's insurance are never worth the shortcut.
Second, assume older homes are hiding outdated infrastructure. Cabinet refacing is often just a cosmetic band-aid over a failing plumbing system.
Third, prioritize your physical layout, airflow, and layered lighting before you ever look at a stone sample.
Fourth, anchor your budget with timeless, enduring choices for the expensive cabinetry and flooring, leaving the wild trends to easily changeable hardware and paint.
And finally, mathematically protect your peace of mind with a strict 20% contingency fund to absorb the inevitable surprises.
Spot on.
If you are in the Los Angeles area, from the San Fernando Valley to Pasadena, and you want to ensure your remodel is handled by a unified expert team without all the traditional stress, you can reach out directly to Cala Builders. You can call them at 213-855-7557 or simply visit calabuilders.com to speak with a design build specialist about the scope of your project. Again, that phone number is 213-855-7557.
Remodeling is a uniquely complex intersection of law, physics, and design. But with the right team acting as your guide, it transforms from a daunting minefield into a highly rewarding evolution of your daily life.
And it leaves us with something incredibly provocative to ponder as we close out. We've talked extensively about how kitchens are actively adapting to strict 2026 California energy codes, requiring complex electrical planning just to keep the lights on and the air clean.
Right, it's getting more complex by the minute.
But looking slightly further over the horizon, it makes you wonder. If our physical layouts today are rigidly defined by the classic work triangle of the human chef moving between a sink, a stove, and a fridge, how radically might the actual structural footprint of our kitchens need to shift in the next 20 years to accommodate the rapid, inevitable rise of AI-driven smart home automated cooking robotics?
Oh, wow. That is a staggering paradigm shift. I mean, if an automated system is managing the heat, handling the prep, and monitoring the ventilation, the entire geometry of the room fundamentally changes.
Right.
The kitchen might transform from a labor-intensive workspace into something resembling a serene, automated lounge.
The kitchen of the future could be completely unrecognizable. But hey, until those robotic chefs are fully installed and permitted by the city, we still have to manage the physical realities of today. So remember, a remodeling project might look like a custom-tailored suit on the outside, but you better make absolutely sure you aren't hiding a broken arm underneath before you start showing it off to your neighbors. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.